Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Absa Bank Kenya International Day of Persons with Disabilities in conjunction with Next Step Foundation. Today, we are going to talk about diversity and inclusion, which is a crucial pillar in our daily lives. When you're looking at aspects of inclusion, we need to be looking at gender. That's it. We need to be looking at gender. We need to be looking at generational diversity, youth. But today, it's the International Day for Persons with Disability. So my name is Frederick Adungo, Governance and Reporting Manager, Absa Bank Kenya Sustainability Department. So I have got my co-host and co-MC. His name is Alan. Alan, to you. Thanks.
Thank you. And good morning. How are you? Good. So we want to start off to be quite very easy. As we celebrate persons with disability across the country, we take this chance to be able to say thank you to Absa for having the place to be able to celebrate this momentous occasion. We will start with a quick icebreaker, just to be able to have us started. And I kindly request that we all be upstanding if you're in a position. Thank you. If a gentleman, you can unbutton your coat because you want to do a bit of a gig. Thank you, thank you. I think we are all upstanding. My sign language interpreter, I'm not sure how you'll be able to do it because I would want you to demonstrate to the team here. So we'll do two things. So we'll learn a song and we'll learn a sign language at the same time, right? So that then the day becomes impactful. So this is how the song will go. Very easy. Don't mind about the grammar, right? This is HR speaking. ChatGPT came to help us. So the song is very easy. There is a land, there is a dash on the land, and the land can never be seen, right? Let's try it. Just let's read it out. Loudly. One more. Let's convert it to a song, right? Okay, let's go. There is a dash on the land, and the land could never be seen. Times two. There is a dash on the land, and the land could never be seen. Perfect. So down here, we have a small list. Fruit, leaf, branch, tree, and land. Sawa sawa. So this land, put it on hold first. So let's try the two. So we will go, there is a fruit. We go up to that 2 times, and then we introduce leaf, right? There is a fruit on the land, and the land can never be seen. Times 2, right? Let's go. There is a fruit on the land, and the land can never be seen. There is a fruit on the land, and the land could never be seen. Perfect. Good student. So now we introduce what? Leaf. There is a fruit on the leaf, and the land could never be seen. There is a fruit on the leaf, on the land, and the land can never be seen. Perfect. Suko sawa? Mayeselai, please come. So now we have all mastered the song, right? So we'll keep the sequences. So after leaf, we'll introduce branch and have the tree, then introduce tree. Okay? Start with the tree. Then go to the branches, right? No, let's do like this. You guys, I'll leave you with the song, you'll rearrange it. Right? And introduce your story that matters somewhere here. And then you go down. Good, perfect. So this is how you're going to do it. My friend, what is the sign for fruit? Fruit. Are we together? There. Perfect, good. And leaf? Good. Branch? Good. No worries, we'll get it. Tree. There. Happy International Day for Persons with Disability. What about land? Land. There. Good. Hope you can remember. And then, can never. Yes. Good. So we'll make just one sample. We'll go with fruit, right? We said fruit is? Who can remember? Fruit. There. So there it is. So let's give it a try with fruit only, right? You remember land, right? You remember land? So we will do, so in the times 1, we will sing, right? In the times 2, where we have the underlining, you'll replace with the sign. Give it a try. Let's go. There is a fruit on the land, and the land can never be seen. So let's go sign. There is a on the and the could never be seen. Are we almost there? So, seen. Okay, let's go. So when you are doing your sign like this, don't say seen, but do. So let's go. There is on the Hey, are we getting it? So one more, we sit down. So we do the full of it, right? So the first song, you just sing it throughout. The second time, you replace with signs. Good? Fruit. There is the fruit on the land, and the land can never be seen. There is on the and the be seen. Thank you very much. You can have a seat. So you'll have this, you'll have your sign language interpreter. He should be able to take us through, just be able to learn through it. Feel free to introduce your motto, your story matters down here, and also sign it. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you very much, Eric, for that wonderful presentation. A round of applause for them. Thank you very much. So today's theme in this International Day for Persons with Disability, the theme is empowering connections, building inclusive communities. So all of us here have seen or know somebody who is living with disabilities, or you have even somebody at home and you are a caregiver, or you know somebody who knows somebody living with disabilities, or you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody living with disabilities. So there's somebody said, diversity is a fact, but inclusion is an act. So this would join me in welcoming Absa Bank Kenya CEO and MD, Mr. Abdi Mohammed, to give his speech. Welcome, Mr. Abdi.
Thank you very much, Fred. Good morning, everybody. Today I have a piece of paper here. It's my first one. First of all, let me say thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you to all the colleagues and other partners and stakeholders who have joined us online for this year's event. I can't think of a better way to spend our morning this morning than mark this great event, reflect on the journey that we have been on the entire diversity agenda, but particularly on the persons with disabilities agenda. I think it's been a very interesting journey in the last 2 years or so. I think the organization has made significant progress in this area, and it's good for us all to be here this morning to just reflect on that journey. And a journey is what it is, because we are far from done. We are just getting started. Today is about marking a few of the steps that we have taken so far. But first, let me recognize the presence of the chair and officials from Next Step Foundation. We're also partnering with a number of other organizations, Enable, National Council for Persons with Disability, the Association of Persons with Disabilities Kenya, and really the entire stakeholder base that works with us on this very, very important journey. I recognize and thank Mumbi Kahindo, our Chief People Officer, Jigna, who leads our diversity agenda, and members of the Diversity Council that are here today. You know, I think Fred just said diversity is you said diversity is a fact, and inclusion is an act. Diversity is perhaps actually the easier one to define and deal with, because it's a mathematical exercise. Organizations have to represent and reflect the society in which they do business. If half of the population of Kenya is female and the organization does not reflect that, then we have a problem. And the same applies to persons with disability. If we don't reflect the exact percentages of the population, then there is some work to do for us as an organization, but also for the country to ensure that opportunities are provided, training is provided, but most importantly, that we keep this agenda in front of us as an organization. But inclusion is something far more important and far more difficult to achieve, because inclusion is about values, it's about respect, it's about allowing persons with disabilities to contribute to their fullest. It's about ensuring that we give them the opportunity to add value to the organization, because that is why we are doing this. We are not doing this as an act of goodness. That is just part of it. We are doing it because we believe that persons with disability have a lot to add and a lot to contribute to the organization. And therefore, having diversity on its own without inclusion is not good enough. And I think the journey that Absa is on is to see how, A, we achieve diversity. That's about quotas. It's easy to measure. We know exactly where we were in 2023 or 2022 when we started building this ambition. We know where we are now relative to that. We know how we compare to other people within the country and within the industry. And that's easy to measure. But I think the message I want to leave with everybody today is the message of inclusion. As we start this journey and as we continue, let us ensure that we include our colleagues as much as we can. What Absa has done since we started, our representation of persons with disability has just about doubled between 2023 and now. I think at present we have just under 50 colleagues, persons with disability working, adding value to this organization on a daily basis. And we value and we appreciate them. We appreciate what they do. It demonstrates for us that we are on the right track. But we are not there yet. The ambition that we set for ourselves and that we set for our entire group is to get to a minimum, and this is a minimum. I think we should do better, but to get to a minimum of 5% of the workforce as persons with disability. Over the last few years, we've also looked at, beyond our hiring practices and having colleagues and staff in the bank, at the wider customer base and stakeholders that we deal with, and how to ensure that we are providing the necessary access and the necessary support. And today, more than 90% of the workplaces of Absa are wheelchair accessible. There are one or two small places that are in malls or other core locations that we are still solving for. But our entire branch network, our head office buildings, and every other place that Absa does business has the wheelchair access. We continue to work on digital accessibility, and Jigna was just updating me on some of the work we are doing even at group level to ensure that our customers can access the bank digitally, and especially for persons with disability. We also continuously look at supplier diversity from a diversity perspective. And here we need to do more work. We have a broad target of ensuring that 30% of our suppliers and people who supply to the bank come from women, youth, and persons with disability. I think the work we need to do here is to be very specific about persons with disability and what that quota looks like, and ensure that as an organization we are driving that in the same way that we are driving our staff quotas. I think the other thing we can do, and this is just me challenging ourselves, is how we can ensure that for the 70% that supply us beyond this 30% quota, all these large organizations that do business with Absa, is to ask them very specific questions about what they are doing on the persons with disability agenda. And I think that is within our right, and that is something we will start doing, going forward. We just had that sign language exercise at the beginning. Through the month of November, we've been doing training within Absa for colleagues. 90 colleagues have been trained in Kenya Sign Language this year. And it's been very interesting in the month of November, seeing everybody try to participate and try to learn. Some students are faster than others. You can guess which group I and Shera belong to. But we are all trying our very best, because it's very important that we all understand each other and we all appreciate each other as we move forward. We also do a lot of community outreach, and one example that has been written here for me by my wonderful lady here is Liki Special School in Nyeri, and I had the pleasure and the privilege to be part of the group that visited. I can see some of them here as well. For me, it was a life-changing moment to go to Liki Special School and to see those young people. We went there thinking about going to visit these young people, help them, provide whatever we can provide as a bank, and live. But they invited us into their life. They welcomed us. They did an amazing fashion show for us, which I have never, ever forgotten. They showed us what they do and what they make with their own hands. We bought quite a bit. We promised them that we will buy some of the items they make as gift items for our customers for the Christmas period. But I left that place feeling that as a country, not just as a company, but as a country, we need to do a lot more. And there's an untapped opportunity and potential for the entire country that we need to reflect on. They did some songs, but we also learned the huge challenges, the social stigma. We met a young man from the other side of Kenya, and I was curious to say, how did he end up here, 300, 400 kilometers away from his home, from his parents? And they said it's the parents themselves who bring them this far. And therefore, there is a lot to learn, and there is a lot to reflect on there. But really what I would like to say as an organization is that we are on this journey, and we are committed to this journey. We are committed to ensuring that Absa plays its part in driving this agenda for persons with disability. To our colleagues who are here with us, I want to tell you to feel part of this organization. You are not here because we thought, let's do this persons with disability agenda. No, you are here because you qualify. You are here because you have the experience, the skill that we need as an organization. And you are here because you can add value. And so feel unlimited within Absa. Feel able to contribute and feel able to be part of the journey of Absa. And to the entire organization and the council and my colleagues in the leadership, it's really a challenge for us to reflect on this subject of inclusion, how we can ensure that our organization, in addition to being diverse, in addition to allowing persons with disability to work in Absa, that our organization actually actively ensures that we include them, ensures that the opportunity is there for persons with disability to feel part of Absa, to feel part of Absa's journey, and to feel that their story is heard in Absa. I think for me that's the challenge I will leave with everybody. So thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here and to mark this wonderful day and to reflect on the journey. And I hope that it gives us fuel for the next phase of it. I read here that we have doubled since 2023 to 46. So maybe we should set the same agenda. We should be on a doubling spree. And hopefully when we talk again, the numbers will be much higher. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
We can do it in an inclusive way. This is how we clap. Good. Perfect. Thank you, Bwana CEO. Quite powerful statement there. Is far more important and difficult to achieve. And that reminded me of a book I read a few years ago by John Porter. The book goes by the name, That Is Not How We Do It Here. Very simple. A family of markets living up in the Sahara. And very small animals live in communities. But then the weather was very harsh. And you know very well, vultures are scavengers, but they are turned into killers because of the weather at that time. But then one interesting guy called Amo went up the tree, which was an abomination in that particular community, and could be able to see far into the horizon, and went down and told a friend, hey, let's go and tell Nicholas, the head of security, that we have invented something. We can go up the tree, which is an abomination, and be able to see far and identify when the vultures are coming before they kill us and save the community. But when Nicholas was told and passed the information into the council, the two gentlemen and lady were actually excommunicated from the community. Why? They did something that is extraordinary. So in the spirit of observing the International Day of Persons with Disability, Absa, we can do something better. The CEO, why don't we become one of the organizations in this particular country to declare that sign language is one of our official language in Absa going forward? That is a challenge. I'll leave you to be able to decide yourselves internally. and be able to see how far do we go with that. At this juncture, I would want us to watch a small video as we prepare to usher in our guest speaker. So the video will tell more about who Asia is. She's one of our board members at Next Step Foundation, just to be able to share our story. Will the video come up?
Hello. It's on. All right. Protocol observed. Good morning. Good morning again. I'm Asia Mohamed Sororo, and it's an honor to be here. And today I want to share with you a little story. And anywhere I mention a Shurak, just know it will represent the theme, today's theme, empowering connections and building inclusive communities. So I got my disability when I was 2 years of age in 1994. Along the way, I get to lose my parents also. And during that time, I was still young, so it was easy to live, because when you are young, you don't overthink or overdo about anything. But when I started growing up, I realized the magnitude of my situation. And when I became an adult, I realized, so I fit fully in the minority group. A person with disability, a woman, an orphan. I was like, hey. You know, when you kind of understand yourself fully, there comes those self-doubt where you question reality, you start questioning reality. And when you start questioning reality, you feel like you give up. You feel like the world is not with you. You feel like the whole world, like you are carrying even someone else, other people burdens on top of you. And you feel like God has also forsaken you. But when I feel in that moment, when I'm in that moment of that self-doubt, what I usually do is walk past my shurak, back and forth, back and forth. I know. I have no legs, but I have shuraks. It's because I've got a sexy legs. Today I didn't wear them. Very metallic ones, so I didn't wear them. And that shurak is full of sport shoes. But in the midst of that shurak, there is this old, very old, tiny red heels given by my mother in 1998, as she has forgotten that I had no legs on my birthday. So I keep it safe, very safe, in the midst of those sport shoes. And when I feel like I want to give up, when I feel like the world is on top of me, when I feel like this is it, I will walk past that shurak, back, forth, and then I will stop and I will face that shurak. And what that shurak does to me is it takes me back to the future, back to the past, takes me to the future, and brings me back to the present. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are all humans. So at a certain point in our life, we feel like we want to give up. But what you need to do is hold on to something that gives you purpose. And that is Shurak, reminding you that Shurak represents today's theme. You hold on to something that gives you purpose, something that reminds you of where you are coming from, where you want to go, and what you want to do at your present moment. Imagine in a community where you are being empowered, you are connecting with people that align with your visions and goals, and then you are included to the community. What does it do to us? It uplifts you. It uplifts your life. It gives your life meaning. And you feel like you have purpose here on earth. And with that, that is what that Shurak does. And that Shurak is today's theme. When implemented, it will do that to us. It will do that to us. And when you have purpose, purpose usually comes with peace. Peace, in this sense, is the ability to make things stay simple. Just let things stay simple. Simple, as in, when you heard about disability, when you see a person with disability, or you heard about us, you're already you're overreacting. You are overthinking. You want to do more. You want to help more. And no, it's not about that. You just need to keep it simple. You don't need to exaggerate. You don't need to overthink. You don't need to overdo. What you need to do is just include us. And when you include us, simple as that, we figure out how to live amongst each other, you know? You don't need to overthink about anything. Because when you heard about disability, we know we come with our own baggage, burdens. And we look expensive, sometimes even problematic at times, right? But no, you just don't need to overthink anything. You just need to include us. And we get to figure out how we live peacefully with each other. And peace is the ability to make things stay simple in this sense. Like I told you, I got my accident when I was 2 years of age. I'm now 33. I've heard a lot about inclusive. To an extent that sometimes it sounds boring, sometimes it sounds monotony. But I understand that things with great impact usually takes time. So we'll keep on preaching about inclusivity. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you very much, Asia. Thank you for that wonderful story. And this story actually resonates with mine. And I think this is, the first time I want to speak about this. When I was 4 months old, I got a missile attack. And actually, I was born in Busia. And this is my story, Absa's story. So when I got that missile attack, there was a delay in terms of treatment. And when I was taken to the hospital, it became very serious and it affected my eyes. And I think for the first 5 years, I was just under medication, and unfortunately, I lost one of my eye, and it's actually blind. And this is something that I have not told anyone, but that has never stopped me from moving forward, because as he has also already mentioned, that purpose comes with peace, and this has never stopped me from achieving what I want. I did very well in the primary school, high school, university. I've done finance, I've done accounting. I've been a cashier at Absa Bank for 10 years without a difference. A difference is when you get a shot in terms of money. so I've never gotten a shot. Yeah. So and also I've done quite a lot of things, and also I just found myself in the sustainability department. I am part of Diversity and Inclusion Council, and we are championing this agenda because purpose comes with peace, and that's what Asia has just told us. So At this particular juncture, I just also wanted to mention that we are live in our social media platforms. We are live in Facebook. We are also live in YouTube, Absa Engage. So you can interact with us. You can send your questions. We'll be able to address them. So without further ado, I would like to take this session to another level of discussion. So we're going to have a panel discussion. And please join me welcoming Absa Bank Kenya Head of Market and Enterprise Risk, Jigna Patel. Jigna, welcome.
Thank you, Fred. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining. Today is more than an awareness day. It is a reminder that disability inclusion is not about charity. It's not about compliance. It is about equity. It is about accessibility. But most importantly, it's about a sense of belonging. It's also a reminder that disability takes many forms. Some disabilities are visible. Many are invisible. And actually, when we speak about inclusion, inclusion must speak of all of these. So to ground our conversation today, we will take a journey through three lenses: the national lens, the organizational Absa lens, and then the lived experience lens. So we are privileged to have experts and leaders who sit at each of these intersections. Allow me to introduce our three panelists, please. Daniel Jugu, Head of Inclusion and Development at Next Steps Foundation. Welcome, Daniel. We have Iram Bahawal, a leader in inclusive employment from Light of the World. Welcome. And finally, we have John Kaburu, Regional Manager in Consumer Banking at Absa Bank Kenya. A very warm welcome, John. Thank you to all of you. Thank you for making the time this morning for these very important conversations. I'd like to begin the conversation with you, Aram. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Great. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Iram Bahawal. I work with Life for the World on inclusive employment, supporting the public and private sector to be more inclusive. Again, I'm an ex-banker, been banking for about 12 years prior to getting into this space. So yes, thank you very much, and looking forward to engage.
Thank you, Aram. So your vantage point spans all sectors and regions. What progress has Kenya made in disability inclusion? And where do society and employers still have the most amount of work to do, in your opinion?
So Kenya has made a good milestone. We've done quite well. We've just passed the Disability Act earlier this year. We've worked on the strategy. We're actually working on the regulations to be able to implement the act. So there is quite a lot that has been done in Kenya, but there's still a long way to go. We do have partners within the national space. From the Ministry of Labour, we have the Kenya Revenue Authority who are out there as well, working with the National Council to see how we can give tax exemptions to persons with disabilities, giving clarity around that. And we've also extended it to caregivers, right? So caregivers for persons with disabilities, that's humongous. In terms of the gaps that exist, there's a lot that needs to be done around education, right? Educating the public and private sector on inclusion, and inclusion from the ecosystem. Mr. Mohammed talked about how do we influence the ecosystem to be inclusive. Are we looking at procurement and saying, you as a supplier, can you give us a quota? So for cleaners, can we ensure there's 5% representation of our cleaners being persons with disabilities? For the guards as well, if you're looking at suppliers of paper, AGPO, with AGPO as well. But also internally, are we looking at those with invisible impairments, right? As you mentioned earlier, 80% of persons with disabilities actually have invisible impairments. But do we see it? Do we hear it? Do we listen? Right? So there's a long way to go in terms of accommodating persons with disabilities from that stride, and also ensuring that there's education, breaking those stigmas, the social stigma that is out there, saying that persons with disabilities are not capable, they don't have the potential, they don't go to school. But why is that? The system doesn't accommodate them. Does a system accommodate a person with a hearing impairment compared to a person with a visual impairment? It doesn't, because they go to school, they learn in signed English, then the exam comes in English. Are they bound to fail? Yes. So again, the system cuts them. It disqualifies them because it's not of quality. So looking at it from that space of how are they accessing education, how are they progressing to university and TVET, are they inclusive, are they accessible? You know, looking at that space, and then how are they transiting to work? If they do not get that higher level of education, are organizations willing to give them an opportunity to learn on the job? Kenya has just launched the RPL, which is the recognition of prior learning. So if they come in and learn on the job, they actually are able to get certified and advance in their education based on that experience. So leveraging on all these opportunities to be able to get them to be more economically empowered and see how best we can support the system as well.
Thank you. You've actually led me nicely onto my next question, which is, something that you've spoken about. One of the areas that is often misunderstood and overlooked is non-physical and invisible disabilities. What should organizations understand about supporting colleagues and customers with these conditions?
First and foremost is to recognize invisible disabilities exist. I think once we recognize that, then we appreciate it and we're able to build an environment for it. Second thing is building a culture that's of acceptance. So when you build a culture of belonging, naturally persons with disabilities will come and confide and say, I'm a person with disability and I have this disability. But they have to be comfortable to be able to say that. And therefore we have to build a culture of belonging, a culture of inclusion, a culture of confidentiality. With that said, then there's the aspect of education, right? Are we educating our staff members, those with and without disabilities? And then are we listening to the persons with disabilities, invisible, when they come in and they say, you know what, I have anxiety, right? I have bipolar. I need to come in a bit later because I'll take my drugs, they'll make me drowsy, so I can't come to work at 8. Can I come in at 10? We need to listen to them, right? And then also understanding that it's not a blanket experience. Because I have bipolar and somebody else has bipolar, will experience it the same. It's very different. So just acknowledging that aspect, listening, educating, and building an environment that is more conducive, that has a sense of belonging, that will allow people to come and confide. And even for customers, I'll give you a real-time experience. I have a colleague in Uganda who went to the bank last week on Thursday before she flew in. And she had such a big challenge because I kept calling her and she's not picking up. So she's like, Iram, can you guess what happened? I said, what happened? She says, I go to the bank and my signature does not match. So I do the first one, I do the second one, I do the third one. So they call the branch manager and the branch manager tells me, no, go and try. So I'm like, listen, if this is not working, can you register me on my thumbprint? Because it's a struggle. She has ADHD. So her anxiety kept going up, right? And it went up and she flipped and she started screaming at the bank. And she's like, they're one of our clients. I want to know who the head of HR is because the branch manager needs to, figure this out. I'm like, no, I think you need to educate the bank. She's like, no, but we have done the training, right? So even at the branch manager level, they were not understanding a thumbprint can work. The idea was a thumbprint will only work with someone with a visual impairment. So a lot of education needs to happen even with customers. When they request for a thumbprint, what stops us? What stops us? Nothing, right? So again, it's the awareness and the education that we need to put out there.
Thank you. So you've talked about actually an example of reasonable accommodation, and reasonable accommodation is a term that is frequently used in disability inclusion. What should an organisation like Absa understand this term to actually mean, and what does it look like in practice?
So, reasonable accommodation is basically accommodating a person with a disability without causing undue burden to either party. It's important to put that out. Undue burden. So, that means, can the person with disability perform to their full potential upon provision of this reasonable accommodation? And will the employer feel the pinch when they provide it? If they do, then that's not RA, right? It needs to be within the space of comfort that they're able to provide it, but also with intention to be able to provide it at a better quality as time goes by, because then they're able to plan for it accordingly. It's important to note that reasonable accommodation is not cast on stone. I, as a person with visual impairment, will not have the same needs as somebody else with a visual impairment, albeit both of us being 100% blind. It will not be the same, right? You might have somebody who will say, okay, I can walk around the building, I just need a guide for the next 3 days to be able to familiarize, and I'll be fine. We see them, right? And there'll be somebody else who'll say, no, I need a guide throughout. So reasonable accommodation is the idea of listening and agreeing on what exactly we can provide for you to be able to perform to your full potential. What it is in practice is flexible hours, provision of assistive devices. We're looking at working from home, right? I can come to work, but maybe 3 times a week. I know Next Step Foundation has had that experience. We've had banks who have said, okay, we can accommodate you for, you come in at 9 and leave at 6. We have others who provide assistive technology. So reasonable accommodation is on an individual basis upon request. Again, it's not an assumption that because I have a hearing impairment, I need a sign language interpreter to be with me 8 to 5, Monday to Saturday. No. Again, it's a request. We have seen staff members who say, I only need a sign language interpreter during critical meetings. The rest, I get away with it, right? I will communicate it. It's my form of education. So it's very important to be able to listen and agree, but then not have a blanket assumption that all persons with a particular impairment require this. Yeah.
Examples, actually. So this really gives us a clear view of where we stand and our obligations and our opportunities. To build on this perspective, I'd like to now bring in Daniel. Daniel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Daniel Ngugi. I'm very passionate about disability matters. I'm a disability rights advocate, and I work for Next Step Foundation as the head of inclusion and development. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Daniel, what does meaningful disability inclusion actually look like beyond policies and compliance? And actually, where are the most common gaps that you see?
Yeah, beyond compliance, so I'll say that how do we create an environment that persons with disability meaningfully contribute in our workplace? How do we make sure that there are no barriers that are limiting them to thrive? So a good example is, I loved what you have done here. You know, probably there could be a staircase on this side and then a ramp here, but you have just leveled the ground for everyone to pass. So, and for me, I always say, you know, once you get rid of the barriers, then everybody has a chance, has an opportunity to thrive, has an opportunity to attend a training, has an opportunity to actually be able to fully achieve their potential. So I always say, how do companies break these barriers to make sure that all the employees with any disabilities can actually be able to meaningfully contribute? I think that is very, very key.
Okay, thank you. And just leading on from that, in your experience, what misconceptions about disability are the most harmful in the corporate environment, and how do you guide organizations to begin to unlearn them?
I think the ones I've observed so far is that how to get rid of these barriers for persons with disability is focusing a lot on the physical spaces. So we always make sure our offices has a lift and has a ramp, but we forget the digital space. How accessible is it? We forget that we have people with a hearing impairment. Do we have sign language interpreters? I love that Absa has one. But how many companies have enough sign language interpreters to make sure that the deaf are able to communicate? How do we make sure that, like what Iram was talking about, invisible disabilities are well supported? How is our systems well tuned to support different variants of disabilities? I think that is very, very key. And I also say that persons with disability, once given a very conducive environment, they're actually able to thrive. They're able to contribute. They're able to achieve a lot. I've seen many of them coming in, working so hard because of years of seclusion. They're able to really, quickly, thrive up in a corporate environment, and I think that is very, very key for us to focus on.
Thank you, Daniel. You've talked about some enablers, but maybe you could give us some insight into more practical enablers that are starting to make the biggest differences as we're moving forward in our journey.
First of all, I always encourage companies to start by looking at what limits persons with disabilities. Of course, it's the barriers, and the biggest barrier is the mind. So if all of us are not trained about disability matters, even we talk about reasonable accommodation, it won't make sense. If we talk about adjusting the work environment, it won't make sense for many. And you'll find that even even in terms of hiring and recruiting persons with disabilities, or the general public, persons with disability will be discriminated. So if we are able to address that by creating a lot of awareness creation, then the next step should be, how do we make sure that we do enough accessibility around our workplace to identify what are the barriers that exist? How do we embed disability inclusion in our strategic planning so that we don't feel like we want to do everything? Like, I love what our key speaker was talking about, want to make everything perfect at once. But this is a journey. So how do we identify all this gap and say, okay, in the next 5 years, we want to achieve every year, we want to achieve 1, 2, 3. So this year we want to hire 2, next year we want to hire 10. I love what the MD was talking about. So it's a journey. So how do we embed that in our strategic planning so that we walk that journey meaningfully? How do we make sure that our customer facing, how we create our products that are accessible, that persons with disability as our customers can actually be able to access our products independently and with dignity, so that we don't have situations, especially with the sectors like bank, where security, safety, and privacy is very key. We have situations where persons with disability are able to access those products without someone accessing, accessing the information, and then we have issues of someone has been scammed and all that. So I think that is very, very key. Just identifying that and walking that journey is very, very key for a company.
Thank you, Daniel. You've grounded us in opportunity and the responsibility that we have. I'd now like to bring the conversation home to lived experiences within Absa. So, John, can we move on to you? Would you like to introduce yourself to our external guests?
Thank you, Jigna. My name is John Kaburu. I am a regional manager in the bank. I serve in consumer banking, supporting about 13 of our branches in a region called Nairobi East. Yeah, my story with disability, I wasn't born this way, or rather I didn't have a challenge visually. I think I had a perfect eyesight. And I think all of us could be in that space. Some of us out there could be in that space where you are okay. Until one evening, I'm going home, I go through an incident, and a few months later, I find myself, I can't see. I don't have tears. They've gone. My vision is almost done. I can't see with one eye. And that's how I got introduced into this, that I now have to embrace a life that I hadn't imagined before. Yeah, so that's how I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you for sharing. So, John, based on your journey, what has inclusion looked like in practice for you? Both the positive moments and the challenges.
Thank you. I think for me, I'll start with now that phase, where you are being told, boss, from now on, it's you to take the challenge to let people know what you're going through. First, you'll have a problem recognizing people you have worked with for about 10 years, and now you can't recognize them. Customers that you are serving, you can't recognize them. And I was very lucky. I usually say I was lucky that I was working in Absa, that I was given a chance to continue with my life, and I got supported. I was admitted back normally. In fact, I did not feel like I had a challenge in terms of being accepted. That was very, very kind of human capital and leadership. So I got back to work. I was actually trusted with a very serious branch, despite my challenges, and I got the support. Some of the challenges that face people in my situation would be, say, access to locations or the devices that I need. I use a special lens that takes time to come through. That's about 3 months. So I remember going to work. I couldn't read emails, and I'm seated there. I have to coordinate the team, waiting for the device, and our leadership was able to support me through that. 3 months later, the device came, and I started resuming. So I was supported there. I think I've been very involved when it comes to training. That was just before COVID, around 2014 to after COVID. So when it came to training programs, back then, of course, there were physical trainings. And you go into a room and you can't see the presentation. So I got a lot of help in terms of being given assistive material in advance to prepare for the training session, or it is availed before just the session begins. And that allowed me to be carried along and be developed along. At least things became lighter after COVID, after we adopted Teams as a means of training, and that has helped a lot. So that's one of the things that I found. The other things that I've seen in play, not just for myself, even for some of our colleagues with challenges, is in terms of being assisted in terms of career progression or career moves. When I went to Queensway, I saw a number of our colleagues, and I realized the environment back before the renovation was so rough, whether it is access to the building. We had someone who was needing clutches or to access the building, and we had to support them with moves outside the branch. If it is the people who are put at high traffic counters, we try to move them to queue walking. I remember one of them was very, very good at queue walking and interacting with customers. So those are some of the things I have seen at my level and with colleagues who have challenges in the office.
Thank you, John. You've answered, but I wonder if there's more that you can tell us. What strengths or perspective do colleagues with disabilities bring that others might not see at first?
Yeah, I think one of the things I've observed, and I think Asia brought it out in terms of that you're used to solving problems. So naturally, you have to innovate solutions. And what I've picked is there are many of our colleagues, they may be challenged. So when you see them, you don't think about it. But one of the things I would say is innovative problem solving. They are very good at it. Because they're always kind of solving problems other people don't have to solve. See, like when I put my tears, I give you that, it will be an assignment for you. I found a way. I think there are many that are able to crack problems that you may not think around. I think the other one is resilience. You're used to tough situations. So there is a kind of a resilience that we have, or my colleagues would be having. And that's a plus in a professional environment, especially what we are going through. The other one, I think, is more on empathy. And empathy, having gone through things, you tend to feel others, whether it's colleagues or our customers. And by the way, in terms of problem solving, one of the problems I personally have is recognizing faces. So I see silhouettes more when you're more than 2 meters away. So when I'm seated as a branch manager, when I was a branch manager, a customer will say hi. I'll quickly walk up to them to know who it is. But for them, they'll think, hey, this is awesome service, yeah? But it's because I didn't know who is this, but now when I get close, you think, that's wonderful. So probably you didn't know it. If I'm coming around, it's because I probably can see you. So when I'm walking around, if I don't say hi, it's because probably I've not recognized who it is. I think the other thing is around our work ethic, determination, because you know chances systemically, you don't have very many options out there. So when you get a chance to do a job, you try and push yourself harder. So that is among the things that you may not see at first sight.
Thank you, John. Lastly, what guidance would you give to the leaders and teams across the bank on how to create an environment where colleagues feel safe to disclose, to ask for support, and most importantly, to thrive and belong?
The first one is still revolves around awareness. Awareness and embracing that there are very many people that could be having challenges. And all we need to do is to see them, hear them, listen to them, and accommodate them. So that awareness and education, if you look at what has been done in the month of November, the Silent November, it's a big initiative. The diversity and inclusion, these activities that we are running, if we can all embrace them, they raise that awareness and make us easier to accommodate, involve, and get the maximum contribution to those of us who are affected. So I think that's something I'd request that awareness continues. If we can get more sessions like this throughout the year, they can create that environment. And I've experienced a bit of that when I've walked around in terms of the branches being renovated nowadays. They are taking care of some of those things to make sure it's easy for our colleagues in that space.
Thank you, John. Thank you for grounding the discussions in real experience and real feeling. We do appreciate that. Thank you. So now to bring all the voices together, I'd like to end with one shared question for all of you. And we are running out of time, so just politely to keep it very brief. If you were to challenge us at Absa Bank Kenya, what is the single most important thing we should focus on next to shift from awareness to inclusion for both our colleagues and our customers? Who would like to go first?
From my experiences and what I've observed, we've done some good work, but the one challenge that I think for now could be a big one for us is still around digital access. I think that's a big one. Most of the gadgets we use, they are the standard gadgets. I think there's some piece there. I know our team in CDO, they churn out data as we design those reports. Probably it's something that we may do in boosting digital access. I think online accessibility is one of the things that I may request for review.
Thank you, John.
I think I'll take it to the next level of accessibility from all around. So from communication, how are you doing your branding? How are you communicating to your customers internally as well to persons with disabilities? Technology again. And then built accessibility, looking at it from the space of, do you have voice back lifts? Yes, you have a lift. Is it voice back for a person with visual impairment? Just looking at it from that space. And then finally, then there's the attitudinal barrier, accessibility, right? Education. I keep re-emphasizing this, education, because what you find is that education only happens to certain segments, right, within the bank. So looking at it from that space of, can we educate everybody within our ecosystem? And then finally, putting policies and putting them into practice, right? Having the policies in place, but then also putting them into practice. And the policies should be cross-cutting, from procurement to finance to HR to retail banking. Do we have policies, that cut across and do talk about inclusion? So when you're talking about finance, is there a budgeting system that is inclusive? When you're talking about HR, is there recruitment policies in place in terms of personnel development, recruitment, performance management and all? So I think for me, it's accessibility from all round that would actually influence both internally and externally. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. For me, I will encourage Absa to make disability inclusion a progressive and a continuous practice. We always say it's a journey, and a journey that will never stop. If we continue to identify those barriers I was talking about, continuously assessing how we are treating our colleagues with disabilities, how we responding to our customers, how are our products accessible, and once we have that mindset, then it will not be a one-stop. So this year we are doing this, and that's it. It will be continuous. And I'm saying continuous because one day, one time, you will not be here. Someone else will succeed you, and you will want, wherever you will be, you'll say you left a culture that is very encouraging to people from marginalized communities. You've allowed them not only to be people contribute meaningfully to the company, but also they're part of the customers. Many developed countries, if you can really look at, many companies have tapped into that, have made it a standard practice, and they've tapped into a market that has always been left behind. We always see persons with disability as people who need to receive, but we don't see them as people who want to create an account. They do business, they own businesses, they do a lot of stuff, and they can be very, very good customers and meaningful contributors to the Absa community.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your guidance and your deep and reflective responses. Please give our panelists a warm round of applause. I just want to end on behalf of the D&I Council, we've taken notes of the discussions and all the recommendations. For us, disability inclusion is not a project. It's a continuous journey and a culture of learning, listening, and building every day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I hope you have observed how they have just walked down, all of them. That is what we call curb cut effect. So none of them went over, but all of them went through the ramp. And it's just what we were discussing over here, is more of how do we build from what we already have. And the team here has talked passionately about accessibility, which is in two forms. We have the physical accessibility and we have the human side of accessibility. And Mumi, you have a lot of work to be able to do, because the human side of accessibility builds along what we call culture, empathy, and language. The human side of accessibility, let's work on that. So going for a very small segment right now, just to be able to hear the stories within Absa. This is from the staff here. It's a segment that you're going to look at what are our thorns and what are our roses, where we got it, and what is our moonshot into next year. So we'd have very open. Thank you for Fred. Thank you to John for being vulnerable. We We also have 3 more staff that will just be able to share how the journey has been. I will not go through the script. Feel free, Leonida, welcome. Just tell us which department you are in, what has worked for you, how has been life here. Let's celebrate the roses, and also let's get to note the thorns and be able to make correction. Please welcome. Feel free to take from here, from the podium. Feel free.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leonida Anyoso. Worked in Absa for the last 10 years in different departments. Currently, I'm at the complaints handling unit. And I'll talk about what Absa has done for me as a person with disability, feeling included and supported. We've all talked about paper and office from the shared experiences from my colleagues. But in Absa, we don't just have it's not all about office and paper, we also play. So one moment that really stood out for me as a person with disability being included is when my team had gone for a team building. And during the team building activities, it meant that we do the activities at an open place whereby the sun is out there and really scorching. And it was somewhere in Mogotio, the sun was really hot. My team at that point decided that we will not exclude Leonida from our activities. We look at a place where it's shaded for her to be included in the activities. And actually that actually spoke milestones to me, and I felt really happy and included at that point. And then for having albinism, working in a bank as a teller in a complaints handling department, especially the complaints handling department is the backbone of the bank, basically because we need to make those customers smile and come back and share beautiful stories about Absa. So you really need to be keen and clear on what you're communicating to the customer. From the phones that we are given, the laptops, the monitors that we are given, it's really small. But what I learned when I integrated into the bank is you need to be courageous and speak up. As a person with disability, accommodation starts with you. Speak up so that you can be understood. So what I did, I raised my voice and asked that I need this particular accommodation. And thanks to the bank, it listened. I was given a big screen monitor, a high contrast keyboard. It might be tools that someone else might see that they're very small, but to me it spoke milestones because it made me now work at the same level as my other able colleague who can see clearly. Not 100%, but at least I moved from a 30% vision to almost a 70% vision. And again, as a person with disability, you need to accept that you cannot get to 100%. I know that as much as I have the big screen, I still need to move closer to the screen. And that also now goes back again to you speaking up. So speaking up, like when a colleague approaches me and asks me, why are you going close to the screen? Be gracious enough and explain to them. That will create understanding with you and your colleagues. And also now, again, another point of accommodation from Absa is the people. At Absa, we have a beautiful culture. Having a management that actually listens, a team that takes time to understand you, they support you and they collaborate with you, and a people's partner or a management that also don't feel like when you're asking for some more. They don't see you as a burden. They see you as they feel you and they see your impact. So having that, the culture in Absa is really beautiful, and also has that has really contributed to my achievement to where I've been. And to the crown of it all, where I felt my voice really matters is being included in the Diversity Council. That showed me that whatever I have achieved in the few years that I've been in Absa, 10 is few because I intend maybe to retire in Absa. So the few years that I've been in Absa, someone saw that and decided that Leonida will be in the diversity team so that she can speak for the voice of others and create a workplace that is inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Because of time, we'll make it fast. Jefferson?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Due to the interest of time, allow me to observe the protocols already established. And my name is Jefferson. I did computer science from the Cooperative University of Kenya. Currently working under complaints handling unit, Absa Bank. We are literally working with Leonida. And personally, I will talk about the one thing, or maybe the few things I wish colleagues could understood more about disability, especially in terms of interaction, communication, and assumption. So to start with, disability is not a weakness. And personally, or someone being able differently doesn't mean they will do their work incorrectly. It also, it's that they will do it differently. And the one thing that I will maybe shout out to all of us is that maybe before you assume, just ask. And before you decide, before you rush to make decision, listen. And one thing that I will say about maybe assumption before you assume, just ask. An example is that I'm working with people coming from different places, and maybe in some instances, some of the people have never interacted with persons with disabilities. And they be like, okay, now from the look of things, you cannot actually use your hands maybe to feed yourself. So let me ask, how do you maybe eat? And at some point, we literally demonstrate, just to make them understand, just to make them know, rather than leaving them open just to assume I'm being maybe fed. So maybe one thing that I can still shout again out is that do not limit my abilities based on my physical appearance. And before you assume, just ask. Before you decide, include me. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't limit my ability because of my identity. The last person would be John. Make it impactful and then quick because of time. Then we'll quickly just recognize our partners in the room by name and organization.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, my name is Joseph Apungu. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you very much for this forum. I'll start with the roses. To management, I'm very grateful to have joined Absa Bank because they have a culture of including everybody, all the diverse groups. This one they did unconsciously, even before the programs began. So I'm very grateful for that, to the point that they had confidence in me, sending me to South Africa to do some training in some systems that are core. And right now I'm supporting the rest of Africa on that system, and I'm very grateful for that. Maybe the thorns are not quite conscious to the people who give them, in that you could have a team building event like Leonida has said, and then there's some activities that need dexterity, or they need something that everybody else will comfortably do, but you yourself will not do. Maybe you're climbing a wall. I will not climb a wall effectively. So those are probably the areas that may need to be checked. But in such situations, you just find that the PWDs will pull out, and then they'll say, maybe next time I'll not go for that team event. So those are the thorns and roses. Maybe another thorn that I had way back when I went to driving school. I completed my driving school very well. When I went to the traffic department, they told me, go and tell your mother to give you the license. So that is a thorn that really got to me. Yes. But now, after those many years, we were accommodated, and now my license is good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for those reflections. And it's a true story and testament to Absa that really inclusive design is smart banking. Thank you for that. So just quickly do a round of introduction for the partners in the room by name and organization, and then Fred will take it over. Karibu. We'll start from this end going to that end.
Good morning. Kennedy Okongo Odhiambo from Riziki Source. Thank you.
Good morning. Carol Okara, Next Step Foundation.
Good morning. My name's Linda Okolo. I'm the Disability Inclusion Champion at Kenya Airways. I think what has excited me most about today is I found age mates in the journey because we are also not too old in the journey. We are just about 3 years old, and our numbers are almost like your numbers. You know, oftentimes when I come and I'm hearing people talking hundreds, sometimes I'm almost shy to say what our numbers are. But today I've gotten new confidence to think that, oh, there are actually people who are still doing the numbers that we're doing. And thank you very much for having me today. Yes.
Morning. My name is Perez, Executive Director of Next Step Foundation. Really excited to be here to celebrate this day with Absa, one of our key partners in our work. At Next Step Foundation, we are focused on economic empowerment of persons with disability. We skill them, specialized in tech skills, place them on jobs, and really excited and proud to say that we have placed a number of our participants with Absa. We are walking the journey with you, really excited to go to the next level with Absa in terms of disability inclusion, and really want to say well done for what you have done so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that session. So the idea here is that we need to start thinking about disability. How do we support persons living with disability as organizations? It is not a destination, but it is a journey. And we've heard from our colleagues, but we are moving much more ahead in terms of looking at how do we also include our customers, checking into the product application forms, ensuring that they are able to willingly declare their status so that we can serve them better. So if you find yourself, we will do some surveys to ensure that even our customers are able to declare themselves, because we as colleagues, we are coming out so that we get this kind of help. Without further ado, allow me to welcome our Chief People Officer, Mumbi Kahindo. Welcome, Mumbi.
Good morning, colleagues. I think for me, it's such a proud moment for Absa. Truly a proud moment for Absa. We've been on this journey, as Abdi said, I think since 2023, and challenging our organization on how do we become more diverse, but also more inclusive of various diversities that we have in the organization, and to celebrate a day of persons living with disability and listen to them, because I think listening is a very key pillar of becoming what we want to see as Absa into the future. We do have in our strategy ways that we have committed, different things that we want to see. And when I listen to the stories that were shared today, when I see partners who are in the room, because this is a journey where you cannot walk alone. This is a journey that you will need many partners to walk with you so that you can be successful, not just as an organization, but I think in the communities where we do business. That's where we have the impact. So to every partner, to every member of, every colleague that is here, I want to say thank you for all that you've contributed. Let me say a big thank you to Jigna, who heads our D&I Council. Please appreciate her. This has been a walk of determination. And to all the members of the D&I Council, if you're here, please stand up. I will recognize Hilda Amahandu, who really put this together. She is away on long leave, but she put this team and made sure that it became a reality. So thank you to all of you for all that you do. Asanteni sana. You make human capital look really good. But you're doing a lot of the work. The fact that you went out to discuss with partners, you found who are the right partners. We've entered into memorandums of understanding with some of you, the partnerships that we have. And we do take the challenge that this is a journey. So these are policies we are putting in place. They are things that we need to actually add on to what we have today. That, for me, is a journey that we will continue. To all, I think, the interns that we brought in, I will tell you, I have to admit that this year has been one of the years that I've been most educated around persons with disability. My eyes have been really opened in terms of things that I'm really ignorant. I remember having a town hall. We did a town hall some time back on language. And the language really matters in terms of how we make reference to their disabilities, what Jefferson was talking to us about, the assumptions we make. So Jeff may not be able to use his hands, but he actually has been very successful in his job, which requires using a computer, and he does that with his mouth. He's actually very fluent. But if you look at him and make that judgment of what he does, then you throw him out. But they've educated us. I think starting with human capital teams, we challenged ourselves to get to know more about what it is that we need to know so that we can build the right policies, we can build awareness in the organization. To Abdi, this is a beginning of a legacy. I always say leaders are remembered because of the things that they did. So today is some way that we are getting into where we want to, but many years to come in this organization, people will remember you as a leader who allowed us to start this journey and making certain commitments that have made a difference to the people living with disability in the organization. So thank you colleagues, to my CMC members for all that you do in your teams. Saying yes, I can accommodate, we can recruit. Those things make a difference to our strategy as a human capital. And the fact that we have many, and we take your challenge, Abdi. We've doubled. Jigna was challenging me. 2028, she wants 5%. So I said, okay, that sounds so much. I'm like, how do we do that? But it's doable. 5% of our employees, I know there is a law around it, and we will, but we really do want to make that commitment. Can we have 5% of the employee population at Absa Kenya as persons with disability? I think it's doable. It's really doable because they are there. They have the skills, they have the talent, and they can make a difference in the organization. So to our two MCs, thank you. I really do appreciate for this day. And let's shout about it. If you have a LinkedIn, please speak of what Absa is doing to support this agenda. Go on LinkedIn, speak about it, tell it to your friends and to all our partners so that we can raise the consciousness of the corporate world. Because I think that's what we are doing today. We are raising the consciousness of this of the market in terms of how we can support people in our communities who have different abilities. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mumbi Kahindo, for those insights. We are wrapping up, Alan. So we're coming to the tail end of this. Alan, take it home.
Thank you. Nothing from me, but thank you very much. As we end towards the year, we have a nice few weeks to end the year. But then for Absa team, Jigna, thank you for your leadership in the DI Council. My ask is only one. In the story of that's not how we do it here. Can we have some OKRs, 2 or 3, for all the volunteers in the DI Council, just to be part of their performance, so that then we'll be able to move slightly into the 7-10% participability within Absa. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.